They are one of the most revolutionary clubs in the MLS, in the East Conference title race with some amazing young players and the biggest attendances throughout the league by miles. But they've just been a club for 2 years. So who are Atlanta United? Hi everyone, I'm Josef and my last video about Josef Martínez inspired me to do this video because I was like, well, who is he? So I found out who he was and I was like, who are Atlanta United as well? Because I hadn't really heard of the club outside of, the fact that Josef Martínez used to play for them. So I thought, why not follow on that video, which did quite well, with a video about Atlanta United as a whole. So yeah, and also if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I've got lots of videos like this sort of analysis style on my channel, and make sure to leave suggestions for future videos. That is a big thing. I always listen to suggestions, so if you leave suggestions, then I'm probably going to do a video on it. So yeah, anyway, let's get into the main part of the video. So anyway, in 2014 it was announced that Atlanta would join the MLS in 3 years later in 2017, and it was announced they would join the Eastern Conference, as if you don't know, Atlanta is located in the southeast of the United States in Georgia, not the country but the state. This was very important as Atlanta had never had a top league football team before. Adding to this point, the southeast as a whole of the United States had never really had an MLS football team. Well, they had. They haven't had one for like about 10 years. However, Orlando was announced just a few months before Atlanta United was announced. Orlando City, that being. So Atlanta did miss out on that opportunity, but it clearly shows that there was a market there, as there was no clubs there before. The owner of Atlanta United, or would-be owner in the few years after the club was announced, also owned NFL, so American Football Club, Atlanta Falcons, who were quite successful, which was very important as that meant the owner knew how to run a sports team already. So clearly, if transferring his knowledge from one sports team to another, admittedly American football and English football are quite different sports, but clearly, if you know how to run one sports team well, you're going to know how to run another one. And the colour scheme was the same of Atlanta United, so red, black and gold, was the same as the Atlanta Falcons as well as their colour scheme. So it clearly links to the NFL club, and therefore fans from the NFL club will move to the MLS club if they enjoy watching football of the soccer kind. But it isn't unusual for an MLS team to make a splash when joining the league and obtain a lot of fans. For example, in 2015, New York City FC bought Frank Lampard, Andrea Pirlo and David Villa. I believe they bought Villa a season later, but anyway, they've clearly bought a lot of high quality players. So they got some fans out of that. However, Atlanta United grew their fan base in a very different and, in my opinion, much better way by buying two particular players in Josef Martínez and Miguel Almiron. They were the best upcoming players from Venezuela and Paraguay respectively. So normally when a player moves to the MLS, a player who is they've done well in lots of leagues, they've won lots of trophies, they're getting old now, maybe mid-30s or late 30s. When they move to the MLS, people lose interest in them. For example, I had no idea how Lampard was doing when he moved to New York City FC. Same with Gerrard. I had no idea how those two players were performing at all. I just didn't know what they were doing, and I didn't care, to be honest. So when they go to the MLS, just everyone in England basically forgot about them. However, with these players, a lot of Paraguayans and Venezuelans started supporting Atlanta because they were interested in these young upcoming players who were the future of their country's national team. And of course, if you're interested in them, you generally start supporting the club that they're playing for. A lot of Egyptians now support Liverpool because of Mohamed Salah, because he is by far the best player in Egypt. So people, of course, start supporting Liverpool as their foreign club. And this combined with many other factors to grow the fan base as well. Bringing in a young team overall, including young players from Argentina and Germany, therefore attracting fan base from those two countries too. Popular USA players combined with young talent from the USA. For example, Brad Guzan was quite an old player, but he's quite popular, he's quite well known, especially in the Premier League. But they have a lot of young American talent too, Atlanta. They have a new stadium as well, which was massive, so that meant loads of fans could come and watch the game. And also a new stadium that also attracts people, and it was specifically built for playing football on it, not like other stadiums in the MLS where they may have been purpose built for American football or baseball or stuff like that, as well as good contact with the fans. And that's crucial because you need good contact with the fans. So for example, they retired the number 17 from their club because they wanted that to symbolise the year that they were supported, so like no one would be able to have that particular number. And also they asked people in Atlanta about what the club name should be, so you don't get a mess like Inter Miami FC. You get a good name. Atlanta United, I think it's quite a good name. So all of this made for an incredibly large fan base by the time 2017 came around and they had their first season. And their fan base was only increased by the team's performances in the first season. They won their first game 6-1, which is amazing. The first game in a very competitive league, won it 6-1. And both Almiron and Martínez, the two star signings, were incredibly impressive throughout the season. Martínez scored 19 despite being injured for a lot of the campaign, and Atlanta finished third in a very competitive Eastern Conference with teams such as New York Red Bulls. Of course, they have I don't know, he must be near the top scorer, Bradley Wright Phillips. New York City FC, who had David Villa, who was playing well for them. Toronto FC, who of course got Giovinco, and Orlando City, who had Kaka. So again, that's a lot. That's a lot of good teams in the Eastern Conference, but they still managed to finish third. Because if you don't know, the MLS is split into two conferences: the Western Conference for the teams on the west of the United States, and the Eastern Conference for the teams on the east of the United States. However, as far as I know, all teams play each other. So Western Conference teams play teams from the Eastern Conference. They're just not in the same league. Again, it's complicated, but that's the format of the MLS for you. And then in their second season, things just got better for Atlanta United. Although they lost one of their key players from the season before, winger Yamil Asad from Argentina, they gained 19-year-old Barco from Independiente. Independiente are a very big club in Argentina, and to have gained one of their young players is incredibly impressive. Although he didn't play that well for them in that season. But more importantly, they got an uninjured Josef Martínez back, and he broke records. Of course, if you don't know, he's the top scorer in a single season in the MLS. He also scored 6 hat-tricks for Atlanta United. Again, watch my previous video if you want to hear more about Josef Martínez. And they lie in second at the moment, and in my opinion, they look likely to win the title if Martínez can keep up his form. And if they win the title, then they go into the playoffs to win the whole MLS. Again, format of the MLS is complicated, but anyway, hopefully you've learned a bit more about Atlanta United, and yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video too. If you're an Atlanta United supporter, tell me how I did in researching this video. Was I correct in some of the points? Was I wrong somewhere? And yeah, make sure to leave suggestions for future videos. Of course, that's always important. And yeah, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe as well. And yeah, I'll see you next time.